there, and welcome. Today I'd like to tell you another Anomaly story. Parents and teachers communicate pretty often, and some communications are more weighty than others. This particular one was I'm at a loss for words because I'm not sure that I handled it very well. And I spent a lot of time trying to forget it. So you'll have to forgive me if the story gets a little fuzzy here and there. The essence of it is something like I like to call the witness anomaly. So I taught freshmen and seniors for a long time, and seniors I was particularly careful with because seniors, the stakes are obviously quite high for seniors. You can't just be nonchalant about an assignment with seniors because you're about to certify them as educated adults. It's the one rite of passage in the American culture that is pretty widespread, and so there's a lot at stake with seniors, and it's not easy necessarily to deal with all that's at stake. And a number of my anomaly stories will come from seniors. Today's anomaly has to do with a young woman who didn't turn in a project assignment. So these project assignments, as I've told you, I built my assignments where you build them up over time. And I build into those processes, I would mark, I give a stamp on paper and stamp drafts as they got ready to turn them in. And when they turned them in, they were to turn in an envelope with their name on it, with a packet inside of the material so that I could go through it. Thank you, pencil anomaly. So with seniors, especially in the spring semester, when I had a project due, at the end of the day, when I was getting ready to leave, I would go through and check off to make sure that I had every senior's project. People sometimes would ask me, how is it you get every single person to turn it in? Well, I put some work into that. I don't like missing grades in the grade book. I like students to turn in what they can. And so even though I've had situations where there are zeros in the grade book, it's not because I haven't tried to be encouraging of students to turn in their work. I'm like the IRS in that way. So at the end of the day, this spring semester on this project, I went through and there was one paper missing, one senior packet missing. So I called the number this young woman had given me. Now, I asked my students for their phone numbers, and I very rarely would call anybody. But they did give me their phone numbers, and this was before cell phones. This was landline phones. So it was much easier to get phone numbers because when kids enrolled, of course, their phone numbers had to be included in their materials, the home phone. So I called, and this young woman wasn't at home, but I got her mother. I called the number and I got her mother. And her mother said that she would try to get in touch with the girl. So she got in touch with the girl, and the girl called me back and said, I turned that in. I'm certain I turned it in this morning. And I said, well, I don't have it. So she came down to the school. I think she must have been at practice of some sort of athletic practice or some sort of dance practice, who knows. Anyway, she came down and we searched around my room and we searched through the packets, and she said, no, somebody took it. And I was like, well, why would somebody take your work? Because the thing is, with those signed pieces, somebody turning in her work as theirs would not work. So somebody stealing the packet, that would just be hateful to her. And she claimed that there probably was somebody that wanted to really hurt her. Okay, so something in me, one of my BS meters was going off, and my antagonistic meter was going off as well. Who knows? Anyway, I said, well, okay. After working with her for like 45 minutes searching for this paper and discussing it and all that, I said, okay, I'll tell you what. Let's go down to the central office area, the main office in the building, and let's see if it's maybe down there. Maybe it got lost. Maybe somebody did take it and it got lost and it got turned into the lost and found. So we went down there and we looked around and it wasn't in there. I kept hoping she would just say, no, I didn't turn it in. But that wasn't happening. So then she called her mother and got her mother on the phone with me. And the mother said, I sat next to her last night while she was doing the last of the work on that, and I saw her do it. I was next to her, sitting next to her while she was working on the computer. And I said, oh, okay, well, okay. I'll try to figure out a solution. So we hung up, and I said, okay, I tell you what, why don't you go print out another copy of your final, and since I've been checking it all along, I'll be able to see what you've done. At least I'll try to recall. You can at least get partial credit. And she said, well, when I printed it out last night, that used the last of the ink in our printer, so I can't print it out. Okay, tell you what, let's go to your house and we'll look at your computer and I'll look at your finals on the computer. Now at that point, she could have said, all right, I didn't do it. But she didn't. She didn't. She said, okay, let's go. So we go out to the parking lot. She gets in her car. I get in my car. We drive to her house, which is like a mile out of town. And the whole time I'm like, I cannot believe I'm going through this. And I'm sure, now that I have examined it for years, I'm sure that she was in her car trying to think of a viable lie about what happened and who might have stolen it and who was the villain of this story. So we get out there, and I'm sure she was working on it, because this is a tricky lie to try to tell. So we go in, and it turns out the computer is in her room, which is embarrassing to me and to her and to the world. It's just her and I at her house. Her mother was away, maybe at work still. I don't know. It was like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the evening. So we go into the computer, and she turns it on, and she calls up the files. And I'm just sitting there watching her. And I notice on the desk next to the computer the envelope with her name on it that's supposed to have her packet of drafts in it. Sitting right there. The thing she was supposed to use to submit the assignment. And I said, isn't that the packet that your project is in? And so she slumped in her seat and said, yeah, I didn't do it. I didn't do the finals on it. It's all there. And about that time that she said she didn't do it, her mother walked in the door of the house and came to her room because she saw the cars outside, and I told her what happened. I don't remember what she said, but I know she didn't say she was sorry for lying to me. And I don't remember anything else. I just remember leaving. There's something truly wrong with that situation. I hold myself wrong too. Something in me was so frustrated with the lies. I just knew they were lying. Because why would somebody steal her homework? Who cares? Every other senior's piece was in except hers. She was the outlier. If several had missed and somebody had turned in somebody else's work as their own, which wouldn't have been really possible, but let's say that happened, it would have been obvious. But that's not what happened. And I know at one point in our conversation, her mother said, so you've never lost a piece of student's work? You've never lost a piece of homework from a kid? And of course, every teacher at one time or another has mislaid something unintentionally. But I had never lost a project. That's a big amount of work. It's several grades in a row. I'm not going to lose that. But more importantly, she said she witnessed it and she didn't. That was a bald-faced, evil lie. There are accidental lies in this world. Did you break that? No. That's what I'd call a sudden and accidental lie. It's not good, but it's explainable. That bald-faced lie to me, to tell me that her daughter was telling me the truth, that she had witnessed her doing the work, that was evil. And I don't care who you are, if you've done that, if you've lied to somebody and then you just keep on lying, you just keep that lying train going, it is going to bite you in the behind, and I hope it bites hard. When the few times that I tried it as a teenager too, not about homework, but about something else, and I won't go into it. But the time that I tried it, I got caught. Because, I got caught. It hurt. It was shameful. I doubt that woman, that mother to that girl, felt any shame about lying to me. I doubt she felt any shame about lying in front of her own daughter. She probably rationalized it as, I was protecting you, darling. Yeah. The devil's really good at protecting people. So, now I'm all worked up. That was god-awful. I need to go walk around and think about it. And that's all for today. I hope you have a beautiful and honest day. And I hope you see me again, you gorgeous people.